Welcome to our continuing series of virtual voices, which are and hosted by World Information Transfer, that whose focus is on the health and environment issues. Our speaker today is Evie Evangelou, who is the founder and president of Fashion for Development, a global platform initiated in 2011 with the United Nations support to harness fashion for sustainable development, cultural presentation, and sustainable development goals. Previously active in cultural diplomacy and international relations, Evangelou has worked with the United Nations and various non-governmental organizations, earning international acclaim, including a Humanitarian Award from Fashion Group International for her contributions to global social change through fashion.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Durbach. I'm so appreciative that you've invited me to be on this wonderful platform today. I just wanted to share my journey about supporting the UN goals, because I started way back in the 90s, actually, after I was doing huge events at Lincoln Center with bringing artists from all over the world together, because one of my visions is that we can heal through creativity and the arts. And I was brought into the United Nations and became an advisor to Kofi Annan. And I worked on diversity is beautiful, dialogue among civilizations, and using the arts as my tools. That's how I was actually discovered by the UN. And we worked together for quite some time doing special projects, including supporting children, child soldiers, women's empowerment. In any case, throughout my journey in 2011, I felt that fashion could play a huge role, as it has a very loud voice in supporting the goals. So I was able to convince Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in 2011 to allow me to bring fashion into the United Nations at the time to support the UN Millennium Development Goals. At the same time, I kickstarted the First Ladies Luncheon. The reason I did that, to bring First Ladies together from all over the world during the UN General Assembly, was because I felt that these women had the mindset, the consciousness, and the power to also support in these different areas, and that I could get them inspired to also, as they have the ear of the head of state. So this began in 2011, and over the years, it's created awareness. We've done different projects to empower women by creating jobs. As a matter of fact, I think we've created over $4 million in wages in Africa for women through fashion. We've been preserving culture with the craftsmanships and things that really need to be, saved, and voicing the issues since then, actually since 2010, of the environment and toxicity in fashion, and how do we approach that. It's been a long journey, especially with the environmental issues. It's quite difficult, but we are making some headway, I believe, in the industry. But we need to do much more. I would love to share now a video with you of some of our events that the First Ladies Luncheon, so you could see some of the highlights from the past, and then I'll continue afterwards. On YouTube, you will find a link if you'd like to watch it after this presentation today.
Fashion for Development is a forefront for social change.
Using local fabrics and turning fashion and awareness into great cause.
Fashion has great power to support our goals.
I think Fashion for Development is an amazing new powerhouse.
Fashion is a huge, powerful tool
for development.
It's amazing to be here to talk about our common shared social purpose to actually change the world.
I would like to congratulate Fashion for Development for their achievements.
And I hope we can work together to keep fighting.
And help a child reach 5.
The more we get together as a whole, the more productive we'll be to really celebrate the artists.
I believe that each and every one of us can lend a hand. We don't want any slave labor anywhere in the world.
And it's important to volunteer for organizations and causes that you truly believe in.
Like, it's my mission really to able to do something like that.
What Fashion for Development has been proving over the years is like it's become a very strong machine.
Evie and myself, we brought the First Ladies Luncheon to Vienna for the first time.
With Fashion for Development striving to educate through fashion and beauty, we work hand in hand to culturally shift our society.
I am very, very fortunate. Fashion for Development gives me this award.
Education and creativity are hugely important to us at Swarovski, and to be recognized is an incredible honor. Thank you.
And there is no more important person than a woman with equal opportunity.
It's really something for all of us.
When you know where it really comes from, I think it's ultimate luxury.
We can all have a role in creating a safer world for future generations.
My hope is that we can connect with each other and work together. We can influence, inspire, and empower women right across the world.
I am inspired by the work Fashion for Development to affect positive change worldwide.
Well, it's very clear that what we need more now than ever is to lift people out of poverty.
Well, it's wonderful to bring together such amazing, influential ladies for social economic awareness and change.
My personal wish is to make the world a better place for all of the children in the world to grow up in.
And I think that collectively you can build up a groundswell that can create a tipping point towards transformative change.
Fashion has been an incredible force.
I'm here because to raise more awareness that it's important to do first response, but also long-term response.
To announce the OFLA and Fashion for Development event to raise funds for our joint effort in ending AIDS among adolescents.
I want to tell everyone that Fashion for Development really meant the world to my mother. And she said we should go right away to Africa and see what the situation is, meet with designers and productions, and so we did.
I'm deeply honored to receive this Fashion for Development Franca Sozani Award.
I would like to take this opportunity to honor the late Franca Sozani for making positive social change possible and pioneering in development fashion initiatives in the African continent.
Overwhelmed with happiness and very honored, emotional too, because Franca was someone that was in my life for 30 years.
Our participation within the 2017 First Ladies Luncheon today lies in harmony with Elisab's ongoing mission to educate the youth and encourage women empowerment.
There is only one thing to do, and it is to speak about it.
I can think of no better person to be awarded this than our angel Franca.
Fashion for Development says giving back is the new luxury. We believe it is the only luxury that matters.
Too many bad labor practices in this supply chain. Many forms of discrimination, forced labor, child labor, poor health and safety.
Fashion for
Development. We are forever grateful.
It was just to share the types of people that have come together to create awareness that are either celebrities or leaders in their own industries, to talk and to take action to support the goals. Obviously, initially, we started with the Millennium Development Goals, and then in 2015, we joined to support the Sustainable Development Goals. In 2015, we also launched the campaign. That's a way to utilize these new ways. And I think for young designers, it's also very important that they look at what's really in their heart and the sincerity of what they want to accomplish. Because if something is in your heart, you will accomplish and create impact, and to take into consideration what is happening in the world and to support making it better for themselves and for their children and grandchildren in the future.
Thank you for the advice. Have you encountered resistance or skepticism when using fashion as a tool for development? If so, how did you overcome these challenges?
Actually, I did not. It was very welcomed. Um, the only thing that I encountered was in the very beginning when I brought fashion to the UN, and everyone thought I was crazy because they thought, well, what does fashion have to do with the United Nations? But thank God that Secretary General Ban Ki-moon had the vision, and he agreed to cooperate with me and directly through his office to really kick off Fashion for Development. So I believe that fashion industry is $1 trillion industry. It can create many jobs. It can take people out of poverty, and it can also, it's constantly, it's what you wear every day. It's food, clothing, shelter. Those are the three things. So fashion is a huge tool for development.
And that ties into the next question from the audience. What inspired you to initiate Fashion for Development, and how have you seen the power of fashion positively impact sustainable development and women's empowerment globally?
I was working with the United Nations, and I started to work with the internal part of it that was, creating sort of a CNN version, but internally for UN audiences. And I convinced the organization that to allow me to do a segment called Fashion for Development. First, they really didn't want to do it. They said, we're interviewing prime ministers and diplomats and CEOs of different companies. What do you mean? So they finally agreed, and I took I took out a production crew with me, and I started interviewing designers in the industry and to see what were they doing to support the goals. And I found that there were designers that were actually going to landfills and pulling out plastics and different things and recreating them with the women in those villages and then putting them on the runway. And so that inspired me to the next level, because I saw that the glamour in these little videos caught more of the audience and a bigger audience than the actual talking heads of the interviews with the diplomats, because it was something that people were, enamored with. And they were able to see that things could be changed and what other people were doing. So the idea was to inspire others through the work of these agents of change. And that's what we've been doing all along. So with that, I then was inspired to take it to the next level and form the organization itself.
Thank you for sharing. And it's so interesting. We've come a long way since your initial campaign, because I was at the UN Climate Change Conference in Dubai, and there was a huge green, sustainable fashion show. I'm sure you were familiar, but any thoughts on that if you saw it?
Yes, actually, I'm on the board of the Arab Fashion Council. So I do know very well, and I'm very happy that since we started promoting and pushing, as you could see, there have been changes made. I feel that we've come a certain part of the way. We haven't tilted the needle yet, and we need to do much more. Therefore, Global Runway for me is what's coming into the bigger transformation. So because I feel that all my experience from all these past years of what I've seen, what I've dealt with, what I've understood to be, has brought me to this position. Until about 3 years ago, it really wasn't happening as it is now. I feel like everyone's jumping on the train now. I just want to make sure that they're all jumping on it for the right reasons, and it's not just for the marketing opportunity. And this is why I feel we need also to bring a whole new brands in the industry together, from designers that have this type of mindset and support them.
Thank you for sharing. And this question you've kind of answered in different ways, but anything you can speak to additionally with what role do fashion education programs play in empowering individuals in developing countries? More specifically, you shared some interesting examples, but anything to add there?
I think creativity reaches the heart. And I remember many years ago, I was at a conference that inspired me as, being, really young and hearing Oprah Winfrey speak. And she said, if it's not in your heart, you may never be successful at it. So go with what's in your heart. And I feel that fashion is creative and it's a source of God, because God is the creator. And I feel that creativity in that sense. I mean, people listen to music to relax and, alleviate anxiety. People look at art to create, vision and imagination. Without all these areas and just listening to speeches or, taking the harsh way of weapons or what have you, we're not getting anywhere. I think we're in the worst situation that we have been in a long time in this world. And I think it's time that we take new approaches, at least from my perspective, from my little humble abode of what I can do. This is what I'm doing, and I hope to get many people to follow.
Thank you. And with your extensive background in cultural diplomacy, international relations, how do you navigate the intersection between fashion, culture, and social change to create meaningful impact in diverse communities around the world? So you've kind of talked through this, but anything else to add here?
Well, I think that, for example, when we do the Sustainable Goals Banquet, which we're in our 4th year now, we invite all the heads of delegations. Last year, we had 10 heads of state in the room, 32 governments. And what we did was we showcased agents of change. We did performances. We created inspiration. That was kind of the link, that when they go in the next day for the high-level meetings, they're not going into like a mindset of doom and gloom. It was to uplift. It was to inspire. As a matter of fact, in 2022, when the Ukraine war started, at the Sustainable Goals Banquet, Dionne Warwick came and she sang, "What the world needs now is love." And just people in the room went silent. And I think these connections are what reach people in a much deeper sense. You could watch a program and for the moment say, okay, I'm not going to eat meat, or I'm not going to do this. And, but then you forget about it. People forget. And then after a week, they're going back to do the same thing. We have to get to the core of reaching their hearts and souls in a much bigger way and in a more continuous way. And I feel that that's where culture, social impact come together. Also approaching, obviously, we must work with the world leaders. We must work with the CEOs of these companies all together. But I'm hoping that there's a way where we can find ways to work together that inspire each other, and we can find these solutions. But I think young people is a key. This year, we're working on announcing Humankind Youth Advocates, youth that is really making a change around the globe because they want to. It's not just about money. They're doing it because they feel it in their heart. And I think that's where we will all be successful.
Can you speak to some interesting partnerships between fashion brands and maybe local artisans that promote cultural preservation and economic growth in underdeveloped regions?
Sure. I mean, this is where Global Runway comes into place. I think there's we have worked all over the world, and each year we feature new designers. I remember back in, I don't know, it was 2013 or 2014. We put Saudi Arabian fashion on the runway, and that was 11 years ago. And I remember that we received a call from their foreign minister that said that that was one of the best things they've ever done to show, you know, the beauty. And now there's a huge industry in Saudi Arabia for fashion. But I mean, at that time there wasn't. So we were kind of pioneers in a lot of these things, and we're very proud of it.
Super cool. What do you think are like the key principles to turning your passion into something that will help others, or maybe basic steps that people can take?
Well, the first rule, I think, is to be kind, to have empathy, and to really think about what we're doing to others would we want it done to ourselves. I mean, if we can keep that in mind as we're doing things, and then to also feel that whatever you're doing, whatever career you're in, whatever, you know, whether it's technology, it's fashion, it's, you know, filmmaking, or diplomacy, it must be something that you feel you're doing it not only to elevate yourself, but to elevate and create a better world. Without that, honestly, I think fine, you'll live your life, you'll have fun, but will it really be rewarding? I don't know. Maybe for some people it is, but I feel that it's quite an important feeling to have, that, you know, because life is short. We come and go. So what did you leave behind that really made a difference here?
That ties into the next question, which is, what leadership qualities do you believe are essential for driving positive change in the fashion industry and beyond?
Determination, patience, creativity, and faith, belief in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in the greater divine, that if you're doing the right thing, even though you're going to be hit with many challenges, in the end, you'll win.
How do you see the future of fashion in a world where environmental and social responsibility are becoming more and more important? How do you see it kind of shaping and evolving with some of the trends we've discussed?
As I mentioned, more local productions, smaller collections. You know, I think the bigger brands are around and they're here to stay, but I think that people are also looking for more artistic pieces and craftsmanship, and also to understand the storytelling of it. Like what I'm wearing, what has it done? How it's actually helped feed, you know, a village. So I think you have to really think about where are your clothes, accessories, jewelry, furnishings, homewares, whatever, where are they coming from? You know, who's making them? Is it a woman? If you've seen the film True Cost, is it a woman that's sitting sewing for $2 a month with her infant child underneath her seat? Is that fair? Do you feel that when you're wearing that dress or that blouse or that whatever, that in essence, because it's slave labor, because it's fast fashion, it's going to be discarded? Was it worth buying? Because by buying that, you are supporting that. So you really need to know what you're consuming. Also, it's the same with food. You know, if you're going to eat meat 3 times a day, I mean, you know, we worked with Susie Cameron, James Cameron's wife, the big director, closely. They're both vegan. We worked with her because, you know, initially they became vegan and they were trying to get people to be vegan. You know, it doesn't mean that everyone has to become vegan. But then she realized the way to do it was to say, let's have 1 meal a day that's plant-based, because we have to cut back. So we're not saying give it all up. We're saying cut back. It's also healthier for you. You know, the theme in our Sustainable Goals Banquet every year is healthier people, healthier planet. We brought a company that works all over the world with a product called Res Free back in 22 because they're cleaning the soil. You know, you say you buy organic, but what is the root? What is what is this plant coming up from? It's still coming from it's still coming from toxic soil. So if you don't clean underneath, if you don't regenerate, as Dr. Durbach said, we have 8 million people now, yes, but there's also a lot of land that is not being used, and it can't be used. And if we regenerate this agriculturally, we work with that, we'll be able to plant more, to create more jobs, to have more food for people. People don't have to eat a steak, you know, and the fast food industries have destroyed a lot as well when it comes to health. So there's a lot of issues there. And I know also policy change makes a difference. We worked with the Fashion Pact, the Fashion Act. We were pushing it here in New York by state legislation to make companies accountable. It's hard to pass it through Congress. I don't know what the problem is here, but there's a lot of other things that are going on there. So if we don't get the consumer to become educated, to know what they're doing, to see what they're buying, to understand it, and to change the demand, we will not change the supply. The companies will just continue doing what they're doing. And that's when also leadership will change, because the consumer is it's the people that vote for the leader. So the leader will have to follow what the people need. So if we don't work with the public, I don't think we have a good chance. So we have to really do that. And that's been one of our biggest goals here, and one of the biggest goals of Global Runway, and what we've been doing all these years.
That's great. And on the topic of health, do you find that when fashion brands kind of source healthier cottons, like we found the research is showing that, like if you wear kind of chemical-based clothings, or that have been made with too much chemicals in the process, that's not good for the human health. Do you find that those goals of kind of sourcing healthier materials also aligns with the goals of sustainability for the environment, or does it contradict in some cases?
Look, I think that yes, chemicals are bad for us. We have chemicals. I mean, why is there so much cancer? Why is there so much disease? Because it's what we drink, it's what we wear, it's what we eat. The chemicals are everywhere, preservatives. It's not just in fashion. So yes, the clothing, yes, but I think it's also a matter of how you wash the clothing, how you dry the clothing. For example, I found out years ago that bras, you know, certain materials in a bra, if you wash a bra and then you put it in the dryer, it stimulates something, you know, and does that really create breast cancer? We don't know, but there is that possibility. So we do have to be careful. And I think a lot of brands are taking the initiative of more natural fiber. But in the end, it's consumption, because, you know, it takes a ton of water to grow cotton. So if you're going to buy, you know, 20 inexpensive shirts because they were made by slave labor and inhumane practices of production, you're still, you know, you're promoting this water usage. So buy less, buy better, you know, and know that you're doing the right thing.
Are there certain projects you've worked on that really stuck with you from a personal level, that that you had a real personal connection to kind of the end users that were impacted?
I think all of them have. I mean, because I think that we're very diverse. You know, the audiences we bring together are not just diplomats. from every walk of life. Like we've had from banks to, royalties to what have you, that come together at our projects and our events. And I don't know, I think we also, one of the projects that we did that was really great, I felt that brought together the entire Commonwealth. I did that with EcoAge and Livia Firth, when we brought 52 nations. We brought an artist from one nation to co-create with a designer of another, and they together created one piece. And it launched at Buckingham Palace with Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, and then we brought it here to New York, and then we actually took it to FIT, because we do work with the fashion schools and especially FIT, to educate the students. So I think that was something that kind of started from one level and then came to the level of education as well. That was kind of very interesting for us, and we did put everything on the runway, and it was bringing together 52 countries.
Wow, very powerful. And have you seen similar types of initiatives helping in post-war country environments, like when there's like two groups that have been in conflict and kind of trying to unite them or make a statement?
Yes, originally when I was working with Diversity is Beautiful and Dialogue Among Civilizations with Kofi Annan, I had worked with Harriet Fulbright Foundation, also executive director of the Arts and Humanities for the White House. And one of the projects we did was to bring together our children, not really young, but like medium age, to co-create in art that were from Turkey and from Greece. So it was basically one of the biggest issues for many years has been Cyprus, where you have the Turkish Cypriots and the Greek Cypriots, and they've been arguing. And, at the time there was like 400 years of when Turkey was in Greece, the occupation. They've always been fighting. And actually that created a really big friendship, and kind of eased things a bit. So I think it works. It's just that, you can't just do a one-off in these things. You have to continue.
Are there certain measures or policies that you think states should promote in order to really advance women's rights and kind of prevent them from being suppressed in the future? Have you seen kind of like change or policies that aren't so great, that don't support the goals of advancing women?
Well, of course, still I think women in corporations are still not paid the same amount of wage. And I think that, but what's a good thing is we do see a big involvement. There are now quite a few women that are heads of state. We are seeing many women that are CEOs, and that's been happening in the last few decades, obviously, and it's getting better and better. It's still not where it should be, because it's not the full equality we should be having. But I think it's on the right track, and I think we just have to keep working on it.
The next question is related to the award that you earned, the Humanitarian Award from Fashion Group International. Could you speak to a bit how you kind of achieved that award and how the feelings afterwards?
Yes, Fashion Group has been around since, I believe, the time of Roosevelt. They've been a fashion group of all kinds of industry professionals from around the globe. And they saw that I brought fashion to the United Nations and that I was using it to support the goals. So basically that award was given back in just when I had started. It was like a few years after I had brought fashion to the United Nations. And as I mentioned, we went into Rebrand Africa. We created an entire issue of L'Uomo Vogue with Franco Sozzani, my goodwill ambassador, editor-in-chief of Italian Vogue. And all of that really was what prompted Fashion Group to give me this award from the social change that we've made. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Are there ways that younger audience members who are interested in either contributing to some of your efforts or like volunteering or anything, are there ways for them to get involved?
Sure, we can always use volunteers. We do have a great team. They can always email us with their interest at info@fashionfordevelopment.com. It's on our website. If they can go there at fashionfordevelopment.com, they can actually see the video we played. They could see other things, and they can also see how they can contact us.
Thank you. And anything we haven't discussed that you'd like to kind of leave the audience with, or any remaining statements?
I just think that we're at a critical point in the world. And I think we all have to band together. I hope that everyone today finds a little bit of inspiration in their heart to think about their future and to think about that, tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. It's not what you're planning to do. Just do it.
Thank you. So inspiring to speak with you, and really appreciate your insightful and genuine responses. I'll turn to Dr. Durbach if she has any remaining questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susie. And I just wanted to mention that I'm very glad that you were able to present a very excellent perspective on your transformational projects, whether it's Africa or the recycling project. I think that and all the other things that you have been doing, because I think that they may be able to make a significant impact. So thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and your history and your dedication with us. We very much appreciate it, and I'm sure that the audience also is impressed by all your accomplishments. So we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, and we hope that you have the energy and the strength to continue doing what you're set out to do. Have a good week, and good.
Thank you, Dr. Durbach. Thank you so much for having me on your platform, and thank you for all that you do and all your efforts for this world. And I love that we're working on the same journey together. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good week. Goodbye.
Bye now.